Her 11th season on the women's golf coaching staff at her alma mater, Texas.
Yeah, and she likes the play of Caitlin, just real scrappy and competitive. So she's going to need every bit of scrap in this putt.
Yeah, back up the hill can give this one a bit of a run. And it just didn't break as much as she thought with that pace. And now she's got a little tricky one coming back down the other way.
Who won those 2 major championships last year, on her way to Rolex Player of the Year honors. And that one just drifts by a little bit. Should be okay coming back and remain at +3, a half dozen back to 5.
We haven't seen too many putts that have massive breaks on them, but this is one that is going to break quite a bit for Megan Kang. This for birdie. No, not that much. Steady. So it can get away from you. And Megan will have that to begin the round with 5 straight pars as we go back over to 6.
Lim Kim has a birdie attempt. This for 2 in a row. Coming off the birdie at the par 5 fifth, and that one creeps over the edge, and we've got another player under par.
Not very many moving in that direction.
No.
It's been a slow back pedal for most players, so any sort of forward momentum, a huge gain on this final round.
Okay, Amy Olsen wants to get a better look at this monster birdie attempt over at the 4th.
And Dan, you can't blame her for taking an extremely long look at this. This is really tough. Got to be close to 55, 60 feet, I would think, but the last 20 is straight downhill, down green. This is an extremely tough lag putt.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, you kind of pick that point of which the ball's momentum will carry it through, and pick that as your target, whether it's 3/4 of the way in or 60% of the way down. But we saw Megan Kang's putt get away from her in the similar line past the hole, so certainly want to be conservative.
See the ski cap there by Amy. Golf for Africa. Golf for Africa, founded in 2007 by the Hall of Famer Betsy King. And she was a part of a group that went over there and visited and got very involved in that great cause.
This is really moving here.
Yeah, headed left bones, and there's no designs of stopping until about 12 feet past the hole. So Olsen in danger of 3 bogeys in a row. Back to that in a moment. Over to 5.
And Megan Kang trying to stay 3 behind.
And that's an extraordinary stat. 0 3 putts this week on a golf course that has an average size of 44 paces of a green depth.
Yeah, we talked about it at the beginning of the week, didn't we, that these were going to be vital, because we thought that a lot of players would have putts like this from long range. Megan Kang 3 putting from short range there. That's a huge mistake. And we'll go back over to 4.
Okay, Shibuno, or I should say Moriya Jutanugarn, just safe there on the edge, Bones.
Yeah, she's actually got a very doable pitch here in that it's sitting nicely. She's pitching uphill into the green, so just looking for that quality contact here should check up for her. Nice play.
Yeah, she's going to remain on this par stretch at 1 under.
And the short game, such a good part of her game, and you can see narrow stance. Maybe it has to do with...
Yeah, when I looked up great fishing spots in Houston, that did not come up.
All right, beautiful save. Avoids the danger. You saw how close Moriya Jutanugarn was down that bank, and she escapes with a par to 5.
This was earlier Jin Young Ko for birdie, and that's well read. Jin Young Ko not only trying to win the US Women's Open today, she's just trying to qualify for next week's Tour Championship, the CME Group Tour Championship, starting the week 105th in the standings. Needs to move inside the top 72 by the end of the day. To 4.
And Shibuno's turn.
certainly closer to the hole than Amy Olsen was, but similar issues. And again, you got a lot of speed around the cup, and from this angle, it's going to be turning quite a bit to the left in the last third. And you're just looking for some kind of lag in a 3 and get out of here. As I mentioned earlier, the 5th, the par 5, is playing downwind, and it'll be nice for these ladies just to play a golf hole without this cold wind in their face for a change.
Beautifully judged.
Really nice touch. It's a good example of staying focused on what seemed to be a pretty straightforward 2-putt par, but making sure you don't make that kind of mistake, that you don't beat yourself. Just notch up your par, take your 2-putt.
Shibuno, a huge star over in Japan. She's kind of the next generation of Ai Miyazato, who was such a good player and a huge star over in Japan. Media has been waiting for her, and they document her every swing, every shot, and they do it in the practice rounds. That's how it works with the Japanese media. You are in the spotlight from the time you arrive, and so that is why we've seen a lot of players, and not just from Japan, but from Asia and South Korea, not able to handle that kind of spotlight when they achieve a certain status in their respective sports. And now Olsen for par, Bones, trying to avoid 3 bogeys in a row.
Yeah, I get this is a big putt. Obviously, Dan looking to right the ship, get some momentum going here.
Wasn't a bad stroke, just misread.
And so Amy, who started the day at 3 under, all of a sudden back down to even. But you got to tell yourself, everybody else is having a rough, cold, chilly start to it. Still just 3 back. Just a little left for Shibuno, who's in numerous television commercials over in Japan, endorsing all sorts of products. You can see her shirt is well sponsored, and that's how it works over there. And if she was able to win this championship, that meteoric star rise would get even more intense. By 2 over Jutanugarn, back to 5.
Third for Lydia Ko, and Case, she's not laid it up in a good spot.
No, she hasn't, and she's looking up at the top of the pine tree, gonna hoist a lob wedge up and over. Only 70 yards to the hole. Oh, that was brave.
Well, sensible as well, because she played left of the bunker. It's going to be a quick putt. As we take a look at that first page of the leaderboard, and Hinako Shibuno trying to become the first player from Japan, male or female, to win multiple major championships. Has a 2-shot lead here over Moriya Jutanugarn, Jin Young Ko in the mix, Amy Olsen trying to turn things around. There's Steve Elkington, who's been here this week watching some of the golf, lives in this area. And now Moriya on the tee at the 5th.
Big dogleg left, just looking to hit something hard, put it in play, and possibly give yourself a chance to go for it in 2. But that hit very softly, is up the right side, so that should be a layup.
And we'll go over to the 7th.
Her sister, just earlier for par, trying to hang in there. Oh, my goodness. What a stretch for area. Double at the 5th, bogey at the 6th, and misses a short one at the 7th. Back to 5.
Yeah, I was out on the golf course yesterday during the delay, and they were working so hard on this fairway with the squeegees, Bones. It's really soft.
It's certainly Shibuno took a little crack at that one, but it's also up the right side.
It opens the hole up more if you go down the right with the dog leg from right to left. And now Amy Olsen trying to stop the rot. 3 straight bogeys coming into this par 5.
And not much to worry about off this tee. This may not be a bad time for her to reach back just a little bit more. See if you can hammer one and get it out there to the dog leg. And she appears to have done just that. This is quite long, I think, and right up the center. Well done. We'll see if she gets a look from there.
Yeah, not too much.
It was a lot colder than that to decide this Monday major, golf's last major of the year. At the 7th, Ailin Kim, who has joined the small group of 3 under par, 1 under. Giving a little body English to that one as it softly rolls down into the bunker on the short side. So that'll be a challenge for her as we move to 8.
Christy Kerr on the tee. Caddy asking for it to get down, and that's going to be just fine. So Christy looking for her first birdie of the round. Go back a couple to number 6.
Jin Young Ko just on the edge. 4 pars to start and a birdie at the 5th to get to even. Number 1 player in the world avoids that trouble on the right. Back to 5.
And Lydia Ko working on her birdie putt. Yulimino, I think, is probably going to go ahead of Lydia, and she had some problems with her second shot. Kay hooked it left to the green.
Yeah, and then I thought her pitch shot out of the rough would release more than it did, so instead ending up with about just inside of 30 feet. Tom, she has a cute outfit on for skiing, doesn't she?
Yes, you got to do what you got to do today.
It's an outfit Lindsey Vonn would be proud of.
It works for golf too. Yeah, so now really not able to be too aggressive with this putt because it's a bit downhill.
Yeah, it can easily get away from you. She's already let one putt get away from her today. The green's still running in upper 12s on the stimp.
Most definitely. They have not lost any speed, especially downgrade, downwind.
And we'll go to 7.
And the 3rd for Ailin Kim. Saw her land in this bunker. So tricky little shot here.
Yeah, we're going to see her open up that club face really wide. Her rehearsals indicate she's going to take it pretty steep on the backswing too and just come into it with a very steep ankle. That's about as good as you're going to do as far as landing it in position. Still going to be tough to save.
Back to 5.
And here's the putt from Lydia Ko for birdie. Trying to gather some speed.
Yeah, she learned a lot. Oh, that still got away from her. I was going to say she learned quite a bit from nose putt.
Well, you play safe left of the hole. You do pay the penalty by having to deal with the speed. If you go at the hole and miss it long and right, but still on the putting green, you've got to putt back up the hill that you can be more aggressive with. It's the risk and reward of this hole location today. Moriya Jutanugarn just laying up at the 5th.
Took it up the left side, trying to create an angle for herself into this right hole location.
Has done a good job with that layup. And now back up to the green where Yulimino is putting from that other side of the hole, so back up the hill.
And Tom Page talked about it, but along with this counterbalance putter, she decided to go with this arm lock technique that Matt Kuchar's made so popular. And she's felt like it's really helped her, but I just think putting's quite difficult when it gets cold like this because you just, you don't feel anything in your hands.
Well, she's taken her hands out of it with this grip. A larger grip, which reduces the activity of the hands, the lock, which makes the putting stroke come more from the center body. It just becomes a little more difficult to have your touch and feel, and unfortunately, we've seen that today.
You saw 2 3-putts today. No 3-putts the first 3 rounds. Shibuno laying up back in the fairway.
Ideal position up the left side. Have a better angle at this whole location.
And that one's going to be fine, I think. Yep. So back up to the green where Ko is now working on this par putt.
Yeah, you'd think, Tom, you get onto the green and maybe you have a chance at birdie, but an easy 2-putt. It doesn't seem like there's hardly any easy 2-putts out here. with it being cold, it's just that much harder to be precise with where you want to leave your approach shots. And with her coming out of the rough.
Oh, Lydia.
Oh, goodness.
Amy Olsen has laid up as well in this group behind.
You know it's tough when one of the best putters out here is struggling on the greens.
Yeah, it's just getting that feel in your hands. And
.org. And back over at the 7th for Alim Kim for par. Kim is coming off 2 birdies in a row to join the very small group under par, and now trying to stay there. That is a heck of a par for Alim Kim from where she was.
And never a doubt, if that doesn't tell you anything about kind of the confidence she's playing with today, especially on the putting greens, walking it in.
Over at the 6th, this is Megan Kang for birdie. She's coming off bogey at the 5th.
And she had that short 3-putt bogey. See if she can get the pace correct on this one.
I think she did.
Well,
about that. And Megan Kang moving it back to even with her first birdie of this final round. We've got so many possibilities and storylines brewing on this frigid Monday in Houston, including Megan Kang's name. She's never won out here. Well, Moriya Jutanugarn at the 8th, Tom.
yeah, trying to make a birdie after the struggles that we've seen today. So that's a bounce back after the nightmare she's had over those previous 3 holes. Has still had 3 birdies in this final round. Let's go back over to 6.
Jin Young Ko for birdie. Maybe she can follow Kang in here.
yeah, only came back to the LPGA Tour a couple of weeks ago in preparation for this championship, so we haven't had a chance to see her much. Finished 34th and then 5th last week in Dallas, so still hanging around. Can never ignore the #1 in the world.
That's the objective in these kinds of championships. Stay in the conversation. To 5.
And Moriya with her 3rd.
83 yards, and because there's a downslope between the start of the green and the flag here in terms of pitch, you want to lay the ball up to a yardage where you can create some spin. Moriya with 83 yards should be able to do that. It'll be interesting to see if Olsen can, who only has 60 into this whole location. Needs a bounce and a check.
That's a good one.
And releases down that hill.
This was a little unfortunate. Didn't release towards the hole. Talked earlier in the week about being patient, and she clipped this one away.
And was able to get that spin on the downslope. You saw how much it released after she was able to fly it all the way back there.
Shibuno shouldn't have any tree trouble here, should she, Bones?
No, she'd have to catch it pretty thin to bring that tree into place. 76 yards, and so much to be impressed by with this young lady, but certainly the way she carries herself out here, she seems very unaffected, very confident. Oh boy, this is really hot and thin, and get down.
Big mistake.
Whoa.
I don't know where that came from. Let's take a look at the strike on this, see if we can see anything. Yeah, that was the knife edge going right into the ball. Great look there from Shibuno, and she has talked about being nervous. Maybe some nerves still jangling around there for her, because that was an unforced error. Now Olsen.
And Shibuno's ball just came up about 3 or 4 yards short of some bushes. I mean, there was a situation there for a second where she could have lost that ball, so lucky that she's got a 4th. Olsen now from 60. Let's see if she can get it stopped.
Asking for it to sit down. Good news is she's going to have a putt. It should stay on the green there.
Yeah, I think she just laid it up a little too close to the flag there, but an uphill putt coming up for birdie.
Yeah, she can be a bit more aggressive. As we take a look at that first page of the leaderboard, it is Monday. It is live 75th US Women's Open coverage because of the delay yesterday. And Hinako Shibuno with big problems coming up at the 5th, has that 2-shot lead, but they are bunched behind her. And we'll go to the 8th and A-Lim Kim. This is a moment ago.
This has turned into a birdie opportunity hole with the hole location up and the tee up.
Careful, don't want to get any spin from there. That's going to stay on the green. Player who was 21st on the Korean money list this season, 11th last season. Get a 13.
Two-time U.S. Women's Open champion MB Park for birdie. Doing what she does best, and that is wield that putter. And that's a nice birdie for MB and a nice round going. That's a 2-under round going. That might end up being one of the best rounds by the end of the day, and that is the life for Shibuno.
I think yesterday, Bones, she would have had a casual water situation here, but it's dried up quite a bit, and it doesn't look nice at all.
It is muddy, and certainly if she was playing from the grass, I would say this is a shot she can get up and down quite easily. But there's no grass under this golf ball. This is going to be very easy to miss hit.
I should say temporary water, as it's now known in the rules of golf, rather casual.
That is a
Wow.
wonderful shot.
How good
Kidding?
is that?
That took some nerve to hit that ball that crisply out of that horrendous lie.
Well, anyone who's played the game knows what can happen when you're hitting a ball off mud with a wedge.
When a lot of times you'll choose to use the leading edge a little bit more just to take the contact out of it. But as you can see, just a beautiful use of the bottom of the club face in order to catch it clean. And truly just brave to execute it that way. And what a beautiful shot. Every single time she's put herself a little out of position, she's managed to hit a pretty darn good recovery shot. And that was the best that I've seen this week.
Se-Young Kim almost put it in the water at the 8th. There's now a nice chip back up the green. Good try. She's still working on her first birdie of the round. Currently 6 behind. Let's go back over to the 5th and Amy Olsen, who's had a nasty run over the last 3 holes, but has a chance here, Bones, to knock one in, get some momentum going.
No question about it, Tom. She doesn't have to be defensive with this one. She can go ahead and really be aggressive.
A-Lim Kim at the 8th for birdie. And she knocks that in, the player 94th in the world. Gets her to 2 under par, and Amy Olsen rolls it in. So that is good news for Amy. And a few birdies. We haven't seen too many today, and then we see 2 in the space of seconds.
How about that? Double box birdies on a day like today. And that stops this bogey run by Olsen in a big way.
And now Shibuno to save a par that looked like it could have been a big number.
Boy, I tell you what, there are saves, and then there are incredible saves, and this certainly would be one. This is not an easy putt, though. There's a lot of left to right grain that you have to factor into this read.
Well, nothing about her routine is sped up. Putting stroke has stayed with a nice pace throughout all the nerves that she's had the last couple days. Wow.
What an up and down.
Well, if you're wearing a hat at home, you should tip it right now to that young lady.
She
Holy
just tipped her own. And there's the smiling Cinderella again. What an up and down.
Well, the other thing is, after the bladed 3rd shot, heart rate tends to go up, intensity tends to go up after that kind of mistake, and able to calm herself down to get one of the most dramatic up and downs.
Let's take one more look at what she was able to do off the mud behind the green, and just clips it perfectly.
We can't see the surface of the landing area at all, and still able to judge it with incredible touch.
And that putt, I mean, they had a lot of movement on it. Got to get the speed right.
Yeah, the uncomfortable left to right putt for right-handed putters. Never a doubt.
Yeah, that was 6 and 7 in play easily there, but she comes out of it with a 5.
Now Moriya has a tricky one for birdie.
Very similar to the putt that Shibuno just made.
And leaves it on the high side. So easy to do. So she will remain at 1 under and a couple of shots behind, assuming that that one goes in. She's going to take her time and just make sure she's got the right line.
When you're witnessing Shibuno make these magical up and downs and recovery shots, it closes the door pretty quickly.
Here's Kim, too, second over at the 6th. She is at +1 despite a couple bogeys at 2 and 3, and pays the price for a bad one there at 6. And back to the 5th.
And just a little putt for par for Moriya Jutanugarn. Waited a long time for her first win on tour. It came in her 156th start in 2018 in Los Angeles, the Wilshire Country Club.
Wow. Well, in the last 10-15 minutes, we have seen a lot of everything, and that is some really errant shots on a difficult day where you're just trying to get a grip on the club. So we've seen some wild-looking shots by the best women players in the world. But we saw one of the best up and downs we have seen all week by Hinako Shibuno at the 5th to save par. Lim Kim is on a birdie roll, if that's possible here on this Monday. Jutanugarn, Moriya is right there. We just saw Amy Olsen pick up her first birdie of the day. The only 4 players under par.